Hello, everybody. Welcome to lesson 3 of the Social Caffeine Facebook Marketing for Business course. We are going to go over some of the basic rules of Facebook today. Now, I'm going to go ahead and put a little disclaimer on this. Not all of these rules are hard and fast. These are guidelines. These are things that will help you as you're getting started. These are basics. So if you see something in here that doesn't apply to you or that you may have a question about whether or not it applies to you, pop it down in the comments below this lesson, or you can go on over to our Coffee Club members group and you can ask me personally there, and I'll be more than happy to give you my advice. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. The do nots. These are the no-nos of Facebook marketing for business. Some of these are kind of no-brainers, but I want to cover them anyway, just so that you guys can hear my perspective on them. A lot of people will give you different perspectives on why each one of these things are a no or a yes for you. So think about that when you go to start your content strategy. All right, number 1 is politics or religion. As you probably saw on Facebook during the Trump-Hillary showdown of 2016, things can get really ugly really quickly when it comes to politics and especially with religion too. People have different views and different expectations of you as a business. So if you are not a political blogger, a lifestyle blogger, or a religious blogger, or a personality where you're branding yourself as a person, you probably want to stay away from politics and religion. The key to this is knowing your audience, getting to know them and the content that they need and deserve. Because people may want something, but they don't necessarily need your opinion on politics or need your opinion on religion, and it may actually taint their ability to listen to what you're saying if you go ahead and talk about politics and religion and your audience isn't ready for that. Now, there are, however, some exceptions to this rule. It's okay for you to talk about causes that you support. For instance, our church feeds the hungry in our county, and I'm very involved with that, so you will probably hear me talk about it or post about it. I am not telling people that they have to do things the way that I do them. I'm letting them in on a piece of my life, and I'm letting them be exposed to something that I'm doing. So it's actually letting them into your life in a non-aggressive form that makes them more likely to trust you as a brand and as a business. All right, so number 2, negative posts about your competition. This always makes you look unprofessional and childish. This is not acceptable. This is one of the ones that is a hard and fast no. You don't want to post stuff about your competition, because then what happens is people will end up thinking about the other business and how they were kind of the underdog in that scenario, and people love an underdog story. Okay, so that's a real thing. So focus on the positive, focus on what you're doing, focus on how you're making the world a better place, and that is always going to work out in your favor. All right, number 3, posting other people's work without giving credit. Okay, so this is really tricky because social media is so much about connection with other people, but it can go bad really fast if you don't give credit where credit's due. This image off to the on the slide. This is an experience that I'm going to go ahead and tell you about. This, when I was a baby marketer, I'd literally only run my first client Facebook page for about 2 months. I found this beautiful picture on Pinterest right here, and I thought, this is going to be great for my client. They're going to love posting this. Our fans are going to love this. So I post the photo, and I had gotten it from a kind of shady source, and I didn't know who the photographer was. Well, the photographer ended up coming across the photo, and his fans got onto my client's page and they blasted the page. They blew it up. We lost so many likes. We got so much hate for that. And it was an accident. It wasn't something that I intentionally did. I had gotten it from a shady source. And so that was something that, for me, I needed to give credit where credit was due. But But I definitely learned a lesson there. And let me tell you something. You really only have to ever learn this lesson one time. So, going and getting images from Google, that's a no no. Going and grabbing things from Pinterest, that's a no no. Chase down the links, see where they come from, and give credit where credit is due, especially when it comes to photography, because that is hard work. They have to go out in the field and get those photos. Sometimes they have to hike for miles to get those kinds of shots. So don't take credit for something that you didn't produce and create yourself. That's the biggest number one thing. And by giving credit, you're actually expanding the reach of your post, because that photographer is going to be excited about the fact that their work is being put out there by other people other than them. So they're going to actually share that with their fans, and then their fans are going to click on your page and likely like your page. So it benefits everybody, really. So don't put work up without giving credit. Okay. So now let's talk about some things that are the yeses, the good job, let's do this, things on Facebook marketing. Number one, promote your work. Okay, this is harder than a lot of people expect it to be, and a lot of my clients that I work with have struggles with this. This is a photo from one of my friends' blogs, and I helped her design the photo and I helped her build the blog and all that stuff is when I was first getting started, and I just really wanted to help her out and help her get started because she's got such a great, amazing voice for just wellness and happiness overall. And so my friend, I go and put this up and she says, "Oh my gosh, I'm just so nervous. Like I haven't posted it." We were 8 blogs in and she was still yet to post one to Facebook. She didn't have any presence at all on social media. Don't feel bad if that is hard for you to do. It is okay. So, you know what I did? I actually went in there and I hit the send button for her because she couldn't do it. She was nervous about how people would respond to her and what they would think about her. That is completely normal. But I'm going to tell you right now, if you need to, get somebody to press the play button for you, okay? Once you get that first one out there, usually it gets a lot easier. So don't be afraid to ask somebody like, "Hey, can you just post this for me? I just need you to post it." That's perfectly acceptable. All right, number 2, post quality material. Social media is all about quality, not quantity. Let me qualify that statement because it is about quantity too, but you do want quality material. When you're just beginning, this is all you need to focus on though, is quality of material, because if you're posting less than the quote unquote standard of what you're supposed to be doing every day, if you're posting below that, but you're posting quality material, it is actually going to end up giving you better results per customer and better results per fan, and it's going to help with your engagement rates. So don't be afraid to say, "You know what, really only I can put out 2 quality posts a day," then do those 2 quality posts really, really well. What is the end result that you want the customer or the fan to have with your page? Do you want them to get a sense of you put cat videos on Facebook all day? Probably not. Probably you want them to come away with an impression of your business. So you need to ask yourself, what is that? What impression do I want my fans to have of me, my business, my personal brand when they get on Facebook, when they look at my stuff? All right, number 3, follow the schedule, everything in its time, okay? I cannot stress this enough. Do not jump the gun or it could cost you. Take your time, release things, and get them right, okay? So I'm going to tell you a little story. I have a friend who got really excited about something that they were doing, and they said, "You know what, I'm just going to jump on and do a Facebook Live." Normally, I'm super a fan of that. Normally, I'm like, "Yes, great work. I can't believe you did that. Perfect. Great job. That was great marketing brain right there." But in this case, the deal was not finalized, and he was actually working with somebody else, and they called him and said, "I need you to take that down, and the deal is now null and void because we released it before time." So it can actually inhibit your growth if you put something out there that's not quite ready to be out. So that goes back to the quality versus quantity thing. Don't post just for the sake of posting. Post something that is in its own timing, that's correct, that you have releases to use, that you've already vetted, that's not going to cost you in the end. All right. Number 4, this is going to be a funny one. Break the rules. All right. Sometimes, not all the time, but break the rules. Okay. The rules, quote unquote, these guidelines are here to help protect you and keep your business thriving, but you're going to make mistakes, and that's okay. It's perfectly fine. You're learning. Nobody's going to like burn you at the stake for learning. Okay. So take your time, get it right, and make some mistakes, because you know what? Sometimes you just need 2 pictures of your dog in one day. Like sometimes your dog is just super cute and that's what you need to do that day. Or your kid is super adorable and they're doing something funny. Or sometimes you're just having a crap day and you need to actually connect with your fans and say, hey, this is what business looks like on a bad day. This is what it's like. It's not all roses and rainbows. Okay. So make sure that you're honest with your audience. That is the number one thing that you can do to actually connect with your audience. And that leads me to point number 5. Get personal. All right. So for some of you guys, you don't know this, but that's my mom and my dad in that photo. So my mom is a hairdresser, okay? So I know you guys have heard me in the lesson talk about being a hairdresser and that kind of stuff, and that's because I have firsthand experience of what hairdressers go through. So this is for people who are branding themselves as a business, okay? So coaches, speakers, musicians, hairdressers, direct sales marketing, network marketing, and authors. Those are just some basic outlines of people that might need to use this point. If you are a business and you are posting as your business, you might want to avoid this, okay? Because you don't want to get too personal. You can do staff profiles instead. You could do things like, saying this is our staff together, but you don't want to necessarily put things like, this was my dog today, or this is my kid's soccer game, things like that, where if you're trying to build a larger brand, that's not going to fit in with your strategy. So it's all about knowing what your strategy is and what's going to work for you. But people want to get to know you as a person. If you are, a personal person that is, your business is built around you, for instance, a hairdresser or a direct sales marketer or a musician or a band, people want to know you personally. So you need to give that to them. So you have a little bit of a harder job because you've got to provide content that not only hits what your audience is looking for from you, but also has an undertone of personal connection that is harder to get on Facebook. So it's all about strategy, making sure that you stick to everything, making sure that when you do something, you're being thoughtful and mindful about everything that you're doing. It's not just, I'm going to randomly go on there and I'm going to, put up 4 posts just because that's what I feel like doing. No, this is a strategy for a reason. And we're going to cover that in your next lesson, I believe. Lesson number 4. We are going to cover the strategy of it all. How do you plan your posts? What do you put up? What do you need to do? What categories do you put everything under so that you can actually find content that meets the needs of your page and your audience? So we're going to cover all of that in the next lesson, but thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today and for learning this. I hope that this helped you. Again, if you guys have comments or questions or problems, go ahead and pop those down in the comments below this lesson, and the community of students will be happy to answer any questions that you might have and, interact with each other. But if you have a question that's directly for me that you want my direct response on, join our Coffee Club member group, and I'd be more than happy to answer your questions personally there. Happy learning!